So if a person sows with a view to the flesh, he reaps corruption from his flesh. And don't we see that? We see that today. Take the example just when it comes to sexual morality. When people live or sow with a view to the flesh, look at the corruption that comes from that. Broken homes, illegitimate pregnancies, abortions, rape, child molestation, sexually transmitted diseases. That's just to name a few. A person reaps corruption when he sows with a view to the flesh.
Hello, everybody.
Howdy.
Ooh, an evening midweek video.
Got my glass of tea.
Must have some things to say, don't we?
Well, just some things of note since we've been leaked. Some of the upcoming circuit assemblies of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yes, thank you very much, Ron, for sending me the circuit assembly for the 2016 to 2017. I believe it runs from the fall, probably September, October, this time of year, to 2017 in the spring. That's usually the way the circuit assemblies run. So this is really recent. Now, the first clip we played, it really doesn't have anything to do with what we're going to be talking about, but I just thought it was interesting, talking about the pot calling the kettle black. You know, he's talking about sowing corruption, and you're going to reap what you sow, and he just happens to mention, you know, like sexual immorality, child abuse, child molesting.
Well, it just shows how stupid the governing body is of the Watchtower Bible Tract Society, that they would still put something like this in a talk knowing that they're facing judicial hearings around the world for the very thing that they're talking against in this talk. And from the rank and file's perspective, you've got to be pretty dumb too to sit there and hear what they're saying without investigating what they are saying and how much that these words absolutely apply to you people.
Well, that's why there's so much corruption within the Watchtower Bible Tract Society.
So much sex abuse.
Because this circuit overseer just said why. Because they're sowing to the flesh instead of, you know, the spirit.
They're reaping what they're sowing. This is an out-of-control problem for the Watchtower Bible Tract Society. It's absolutely out of control. And how stupid, once again, for them to put something like this in a talk. Watchtower, you are aware of how many people are fully awake still sitting in your audience, don't you? You are aware of that, right? Idiots.
Yes. Now, this particular talk is all from the same one, and it was the last talk of this circuit assembly. And it looked like it was a one-day assembly because it only has the morning and afternoon session. So this was the last talk of the day. And this whole theme of this circuit assembly is faith. You know, strengthening your faith. You know, what you have to do to obey and be loyal, to have strong faith. Yeah. And I think you had some things to mention about the clip we're going to be playing.
Well, as you listen to the clip, just keep in mind that Kim and I have done videos in the past outlining corporate structure. And we've said it before, the Watchtower Bible Tract Society is acting like a corporation that is going under. They're closing their branches, they're downsizing. We all know through the coffin lid videos that families are leaving by the, well, hell, we just did one not too long ago, 15 in one family. Gone. Gone.
At once.
Yes, all at once. So Watchtower as a corporation has no choice but to downsize. Now, let's really look at this from the perspective of a real corporation in the real world, not a religious corporation. In fact, we'll just use the business that I was involved with several years ago, a rental equipment business. I had the privilege of managing my own branch. Now, while I was managing that branch, if this didn't happen, but this is just a scenario, if business was beginning to fall off in the city where the branch was that I was managing, my boss would elect to close the branch and offer me another position in another branch somewhere else. And that's just a common practice for key people, people that are of value to a particular store or a branch. Now, obviously, it would be my choice as to whether I would want to move my family or not. Listen to what he's saying here and keep in mind what I just said, because this is corporate jargon that you're going to hear here. It's not a blessing or anything from Jehovah, because as you listen to what he says and how he words it, just remember, it wasn't too terribly long ago, Watchtower, when you had another blessing from Jehovah. Remember, gasoline got up to around $4 a gallon, and all of a sudden you found it necessary to combine meeting nights for the benefit of the brothers. What a blessing from Jehovah. But now, as you hear, they're going to ask you to travel to different kingdom halls. So what happened to that blessing of combining the meetings, and now you're being asked to travel?
Well, I can only think of two reasons of why he mentions this. There's going to be more closings, and they're warning people, or the ones they've already closed, the witnesses are complaining, because I have heard personally from some where their local congregation was closed, and some have had to drive up to 45 minutes to an hour away because they were in a rural area and now they have to drive to a city. So that's the only two reasons I could think of why he's warning. And, you know, are you going to obey?
Yeah. Are you going to be obedient to the divine instruction?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So let's play the clip, and then we've got a few other things to mention.
Here's another scenario. What if the organization asked us to move to another congregation to make better use of the kingdom halls and to make better use of dedicated funds? Well, that's not far-fetched. That could happen. The organization could tell us, you need to move. Will we support the arrangement? Or will we make excuses and say, well, I've been with this congregation for such a long time and my family is here, my friends are here, I can't move. I can't go an extra 5 blocks. No, I'm happy right here. Well, again, faith moves us, friends, to be loyal and to be obedient. And really, there's no shortage of ways to build and manifest faith. So let's take advantage of all of these wonderful provisions that Jehovah God makes through his organization.
Like I said.
What's funny is he uses the illustration 5 blocks away. Usually it's not 5 blocks. No. It's usually several miles where the new congregation is that they have to go to.
Well, the thing is if Watchtower could see the flooding of emails that we get from people that have already been displaced from a more closer kingdom hall, you'll see that the average is right at 45 miles to 50 to 60 miles one way.
Well, look at the one that closed up in Oregon. They have to drive now to southern Idaho, which is almost an hour away.
So, come on, Watchtower. The only people that you're fooling is the rank and file that's sitting in the audience that refuses to think about what they're involved in. These are the people that you're going to lead right to their destruction, because these people can't stop and think for themselves. They just swallow the crap that you produce and they view it as if it's from Jehovah.
Yeah. Now, I have heard a rumor. This has not been proven or substantiated, but I have heard a rumor that there is at least one large elders meeting, and there may be more in certain areas where they're getting together and meeting and trying to decide which congregations they are going to shut down and consolidate. You know, but like I said, that is only a rumor that has not been substantiated by more than one person. So we'll see how that goes. Now, changing gears here, I am going to put down below in the link a PDF scan to an old handbill. Now, most of you know that we got a whole bunch of old literature. Well, I found an old handbill, and I don't even think this is the entire one, but it's
It appears
really
something's
old.
missing.
Yeah, it looks like there's a page torn over here. But I scanned this, and I would like for you guys to look at this. And you all are great at researching. There's some really weird, strange, subliminal messages and images in this. Now, there's no year on this, because like I said, it looks like it's been torn and some of it is missing. But from as near as I can tell, it appears to be from around 1921 to 1928, because it's advertising Rutherford's books like Reconciliation, Deliverance, The Harp of God, Government, and those books range from 1921 to 1928. But it's interesting when you look at this scan, because at the very top they've got a picture of a globe, and right beside it is a compass.
Now, if you look inside the legs of the compass, it's the square is very cleverly hidden, because if you look at the globe has the longitude and latitude squares, but if you look at the square inside the compass, it's disproportionately sized to the other squares on the globe. So I think that is the square in the compass that's being pictured there.
Well, when you look at the little squares on the globe, one of them actually runs right off of the globe and down over towards a scroll, because there's a scroll laying right like at the base of the compass. And another interesting point is over on the left-hand side of this particular page is a bunch of naked young boys. I mean, that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
Naked young boys.
And they're climbing a pillar or something.
A vine.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's disturbing when you think about what's happening here.
it's really bizarre. And then at the bottom, they've got two lions in the middle, and they're looking at people in the middle of the picture there that are clothed. But they've got a couple of more naked young boys, and one is down on, like, squatted down. And then there's looks like an older, young man looking down at his butt.
Yeah.
Holding a towel or a robe or something.
Yes.
It's really bizarre.
And if you look at the lion that is off to your left, if you look at the shoulder area, there's the definite face of I don't know what it would be, a wolf face.
Goat? I mean,
no, I'm actually looking down right here. There's the open mouth, and there's the snout, the eyes. It very well could be a goat, but I mean,
I was looking at that.
Yeah, well, I wasn't. I'm looking at down here, just behind its front leg, where the shoulder area would be. It looks like it's a barking dog or something to that effect. It's not natural drawings that would be on a lion, because that would be where the rib cage would be. And if you look at the lion to the right, in that same area, you could see lines what would depict the rib cage. But on the lion to the left, it really looks like it's some sort of barking dog or something. It's really bizarre.
Now, when you look at whatever this figure is above the lion's head, it looks like they are in black. And it almost looks like the Emperor from Star Wars.
Yeah.
Kind of a green old face. And I don't know if that is another person.
Well, wait a minute. I think that's the Grim Reaper when he had flesh on him yet.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, this is really bizarre. You all, take a look at this and study it. Well, then when you go to the next page, down at the bottom.
Yeah,
this was weird too.
This is where we need some help, because we tried looking for these symbols and we could not find them anywhere.
Now, it looks like I don't know if that's Jesus, kind of a long hair, long beard, Jesus, hippie looking guy in robes, and he's got a book, and there's two women, two kids on each side of him. There's a scroll at his feet, and it looks like it's laying on top of like an ancient Greek building.
Right, yeah.
Or that weird thing that is in St. Peter's Square at the Vatican. Now, on each side of this Jesus character, there is these pillars, and they have like these shields on them.
Or an open book, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, wait till you guys see this. It's really weird. And on the left-hand side, it looks like there is the initials LTS. And I have no idea what that would mean.
But if you look behind it, you can clearly see that there's also a W in there also.
Possibly. And I don't know if that's a little tiny S above the T. Now, over on the right-hand side of that shield, it may possibly be IBSA, which would be the International Bible Students Association. I'm not sure because what would form the B and the S looks like just a big snake.
And it actually looks like what the never-ending loop. But the issue with this is that the snake's face isn't, swallowing its own tail.
Yeah. Now there's some weird little black squiggly things coming out from the bottom of these letters that don't fit, the rest of the pattern. Now also there is the laurels, the wreaths around each one of these shields. Now we have learned, the United Nations has those wreaths.
That symbol. Yeah.
The Federation of Planets on Star Trek has, those same things. But, a lot of the world's governments use those wreaths. I believe it's even on the U.S. seal.
I believe it is, yeah.
But another interesting thing about this particular page is when you look in the very corner, it looks like either two keys with one going down the middle that you really can't make out as a key. It could be a cross with two keys. We're not exactly sure.
But what we have discovered that the two crossed keys without the third key is a Vatican symbol.
Yeah, the only places we could find two keys was the Vatican and Freemasonry.
Right.
And so, like I said, we need your help, guys, because there's some really interesting, strange stuff.
Symbols, yeah.
Really there's a lot of stuff in here. And then the next page, it has a book and it says, I am wisdom, love, justice, and power. And there's like some scales there. And I don't know what that round thing is next to it. And
it makes you wonder what Watchtower was smoking when they drew all this.
Now, right above this book, I don't know if that is a bird or something, but and then there's like rays going up, like rays of the sun. And it looks like some Hebrew writing that may possibly be the Tetragrammaton under the book.
But anyhow, you guys can have a look at it, have some fun, let us know what you think. And on the bottom of the neck of this same page is a bunch of naked kids again.
Naked kids.
Naked kids. And you can tell that they're very, very young kids.
Yeah, because there's an adult holding one in their arms, and I can't tell if that is a woman or a man, but a bunch of naked kids running around.
Yeah.
Now, for an organization, that has been accused so much of pedophilia and has a problem with child abuse, and then to have something like this.
That dates all the way back to the 20s. I mean, this is
to the 20s.
This is not a new thing for the Watchtower Bible Tract Society. This is something that has been going on just about since its inception.
Well, look at, there is something right in front of the woman or man, the adult. I can't tell if that is a cherub with wings or a bird with wings. And then there's this wheel-looking thing underneath it. So, we're seeing a lot of symbols and, images in this that really shouldn't. And I should mention that you'll be able to see that this is from Watchtower.
Right.
Because at the bottom it says the Watchtower, and it starts their address, 117 you know, Adams Street. And since I had to scan one page at a time, but the address runs across here together as one. You just can't tell that from the scan since I had to do one page at a time.
Yeah. So it's
definitely is Watchtower.
very interesting with the symbolism that they're using in this particular handbill.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
So Candace, it goes all the way back to the 20s.
Yeah, it's yeah, really.
All right, you've got some things, don't you?
Well, I was listening to some other YouTubers that have nothing to do with the Watchtower Bible Tract Society, and how some are using scriptures. A lot of this has to do with the one world government, current elections that are coming up regarding Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, and how some are afraid that if she becomes president, she's going to implement, you know, the one world government right away.
World War III.
Just World War III. Just a lot of speculating. And I got to thinking about some of that stuff, because some of those YouTubers are using scripture, the one at 1 Thessalonians 5:3, I think it is, whenever it is they are saying peace and security, and then they flash right to some dude at the UN saying, oh, peace and security, peace and security. But I found it interesting that people that are doing those type of videos never conclude that verse in 1 Thessalonians. Being a Jehovah's Witness, we know that scripture without even having to look it up. Whenever it is that they're saying peace and security, instant destruction is to be upon them. So I'm not advocating one way or the other. I just kind of wish that some of these other YouTubers would quit with the doom and gloom, like, oh, the one world government's coming, you know, if Hillary gets in, she's going to take all your guns. Well, there's just a side note about that. If you're an atheist, if you think that the government is going to stop at doing away with Christians, they're going to take your guns too. You better stop and realize that really we're on the same side, whether you believe in God or not. When this government tries to implement the one world government and come after your guns, they're coming after the atheist guns just as much as they're coming after the Christian guns. Bear that in mind when all this goes down. So, the other thing is that if this does get implemented, the scripture in 1 Thessalonians helps us to appreciate that speedy destruction is to come upon them. So bear that in mind when you start watching some of these people that are doing YouTube videos about the New World Order and what they're going to implement and what they're going to do, and then they only use a partial scripture, because isn't that what Watchtower does? They instill the fear, but then they don't show the scriptural way out. But that got me to thinking a little bit about that, because there's a scripture in Proverbs that talks about the frustrating of plans. And I decided to go old school.
Oh, the old moldy sword.
This one. Proverbs 15:22. There is a frustrating of plans where there is no confidential talk, but in the multitude of counselors there is accomplishment. And I decided to see if the New World Translation, the Revised New World Translation, changed that particular scripture.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
And before I read the scripture, who are you trying to communicate to, Watchtower? Who are you trying to communicate to? Because you changed this scripture.
It ain't the rank and file.
It ain't the rank and file that you're talking to. Now remember, the old verse says, there is a frustrating of plans where there is no confidential talk. Now, frustrating of plans denotes what?
Action.
Action.
Someone or something purposeful trying to frustrate,
Right.
work against you.
Work against you.
So it's an action word.
The New Silver Sword, Proverbs 15:22. Plans fail where there is no consultation, but there is accomplishment through many advisors. It's interesting, they say plans fail. What plans, Watchtower, are you talking about? See, there is a frustrating of plans, but then you reverse the words and say, plans fail? Is somebody keeping you out of confidential talk now that you have to reverse the words in the Bible? Who are you communicating with? See, the rank and file Jehovah's Witness ain't going to pick up on this. And you know what? And this isn't the Mandela effect either. This is Watchtower trying to communicate with whomever they're trying to communicate with secretly. And I think Watchtower has to say something like this because the governments around the world are crucifying you right now because of your child abuse and everything else that you're being held accountable for. That's why in that talk, the same program, we uploaded a video, and it looks like Watchtower's doubling down on the, blood policy. Make sure we get that sacrifice, boys. Make sure you're loyal to Jehovah and you die while refusing blood, but yet you Jehovah's Witnesses forget the very simple scripture that Jesus said that no one has love greater than this, that they should surrender their soul for their brother. Where is the life? Where is the soul? It's in the blood. See, Christ sacrificed his soul for all mankind. And all we need to do is just have a little bit of blood come out of our veins to show how much we love our fellow man. But yet you Jehovah's Witnesses don't want that. You want the human sacrifice. That's exactly what you guys want, and that's who you people are. You are sacrificing your members to the devil by doubling down on this blood policy.
And on that note, after we say goodbye here, I am going to play another short clip from this Circuit Overseer's talk. And this is where he is going to be giving the sales pitch to all of you who are studying, who are attending meetings, Jehovah's Witnesses. This is the sales pitch that they just make it sound so good. Yeah. So stick around after we say goodbye to hear this sales pitch. It's pretty good. They're good. They're good salesmen. They really are.
Yeah.
So, ready to say goodnight?
Thanks for watching.
Thank you so much for watching. Welcome to all our new subscribers. And we love you all. And have a wonderful week. Bye.
Bye.
What rewards await those who have genuine faith? Well, friends, when we sow with a view to the Spirit, it leads to our enjoying everlasting blessings under God's kingdom arrangement. Can you imagine, brothers and sisters, after Armageddon, no longer being under the influence of Satan and the demons? Rebellion is gone. Now, we don't know what that's going to feel like, to live on an earth where we're no longer under the crushing burden of the influence of Satan, the devil, and his demon hordes. And then, relatively soon after Armageddon, we can't expect a miraculous healing to start taking place in our bodies. Well, what do we mean by that? Think about this for a moment. Because our faith would have led us to this situation right after Armageddon, or relatively soon after Armageddon. Imagine getting rid of your canes. We see a lot of canes here, gone. Or imagine the walkers throwing it away. Or those scooters. What about the medications? Doctors, clinics, hospitals, gone. Cancer, Alzheimer's, arthritis, allergies, any body weakeners that's getting in our way, Jehovah God is going to lift us to a reasonable degree of health relatively soon after Armageddon. Think about this for a moment. If you've lost your sight, you'll get it back. Imagine throwing away the eyeglasses. No more corrective lenses. Or if we've lost or are losing our hearing Hearing aids, gone. No more hearing aids. And I'm sorry to say, but no sign language congregations in the new system either. So that's gone too. Think about this as well. Some have had limbs surgically removed, or they've had certain parts of their body on the inside surgically removed. This will be replaced. If we've lost our hair, we'll get that back. One brother said, I can't wait to get my 4th set of teeth. Fourth set? He said, yeah, the 3rd set was the artificial ones. So, well, that's what he's looking forward to. And then think about this. Earth's ecology will be in perfect balance, just the way Jehovah intended. And really, with a lot of the pollutants that we see in the air, it's really destroying us. It's killing the body. Imagine clean air, clean water, healthful food that we can enjoy. What a wonderful time that will be. You see, that's something that Jehovah God promises to each and every one of us. Building your own house, growing your own food, looking forward to going to work every single day. What a wonderful time that'll be. In fact, you notice in the latter part of verse 22, it says that the work of their hands, or your hands, you'll enjoy to the full. Do you know what that means? You are going to outlive everything you own. You're going to outlive your house. You're going to outlive your furniture. You're going to outlive everything you own. Imagine that. What a wonderful time that'll be. But that's not it. There's more surprises Jehovah God has in store for you. Acts chapter 24 and verse 15 says that there's going to be a resurrection of the righteous and the unrighteous. Don't we look forward to the resurrection, friends? Don't you look forward to seeing your loved ones come back? Can you imagine funerals being replaced with welcoming sessions? So can you imagine all the gatherings, the resurrection parties that are going to take place in the new world? What a happy time that's going to be. In fact, those of us that survive Armageddon will clean up the earth and provide pleasant locations where our dead ones will be resurrected. Imagine obituaries being replaced with lists of those being scheduled for resurrection. Think about that. Can you imagine going to the Kingdom Hall one day, a place of worship, and the brother gets up and he says, okay, friends, I have the new list of those that are scheduled for resurrection next week. Here it is. And he starts to read off the names, and all of a sudden, the name of your loved one is read off. Now imagine if that's your father or your mother or your sister or your brother or your uncle or your cousin, whoever it is, best friend, when their name is read off, how would that make you feel? How does it make you feel right now? Don't we look forward to that? We look forward to that. And see, that's what faith does for us. See, what we're talking about, this is not a fantasy. This is a reality that we can look forward to. And that's not the end of the surprises. We have something else to look forward to in the new world. Remember, there's many Bible characters that will come back, that we get to welcome and enjoy their association and company. Think about it. Don't you look forward to meeting Abel, Enoch, Noah, Job, Abraham, Sarah, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Moses, Joshua, Rahab, Deborah, Samson, David, Elijah, Elisha, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, John the Baptizer, just to name a few? Aren't you looking forward to meeting them? Imagine having them over to your home for a gathering and getting a first-hand account of what actually took place. You're not going to want to make them go home. You're going to keep them all night. And then working together with these ones, rolling up our sleeves to turn this earth into a beautiful paradise the way Jehovah God originally intended for it to be. Yes, imagine living forever and ever and ever and ever. When we talk about living forever, friends, don't just think about the 1,000 years. 1,000 years are going to come and go. Think about what Jehovah God has in store for the human family after the 1,000 years. What surprises does he have in store for us? What challenges does he have in store for us that we can look forward to? One thing we can be sure of: life will not be a mere passive enjoyment of perfection, but it will be an active, meaningful participation in joyful activities that will stagger our wildest imaginations. We can look forward to that. Don't you want to be there to experience that?